What's up, everybody? I'm Sean Taylor from the Made Up Theater, and welcome to another episode of Mutt Tips, where I'm going to be discussing a concept of improvisational comedy. And today, in fact, I will be answering a question from a viewer. So before we get started, once again, if you like the video, give it a like down below, or feel free to comment, leave a question if you would like it addressed in the future, share the video, subscribe on YouTube, all that fun stuff. But other than that, let's get to the question for this week's episode, which is: what do you pay attention to when observing people and watching movies in order to capture the key traits of different types of people and movie genres? That's a great question, because we as improvisers, probably one of our most important tools is our ability to create spontaneous characters on the spot with no pre-planning and no scripts. And we as improvisers over the years can learn different ways to create characters. We can learn simply by observing people or observing characters in movies and voices in movies, or anything. Any type of thing that we witness in our daily lives can be inspiration for characters. And I, as an improviser, the way I approach characters sometimes is to use the method of inside out and outside in. So inside out means that I start on the inside and work my way to the outside. So that means I first establish how I feel on the inside. So for example, maybe I feel angry in this scene, and everything that is said to me, everything I see, everything I touch is through this filter of angriness, if that's a word. And thus, it impacts how I present myself on the outside, how I walk, how I hold my body and my stature. So for example, if I'm angry and I feel that on the inside, I will start to, maybe take heavy foot stomps. Or instead of, swaying my arms as I walk, I'm gonna clench my fists and hold them very straight, like I'm really tense. So that's how inside out works. We focus on the inside, and then it works its way out to the outside. And it can create really vibrant characters by starting with an emotion or some type of philosophical view on the world. And it can really create some vibrant physical characters as well. In contrast, outside in means that we start on the outside and it eventually impacts how we feel on the inside. So for example, as opposed to walking in with an emotional choice or a perspective on the world, I focus on how I'm going to be just moving my body first. So maybe I will focus on a body part, like maybe I focus on my hips and I just kind of sway as I walk. And thus, from this body position, I can start to interpret how this character might feel. So maybe I got a little swagger to me, so maybe I'm a little bit confident on the street. Maybe I'm a ladies' man. In opposite, I can focus on a different body part, like maybe my forehead, and I just focus on it, and it causes me to kind of lean forward, and I'm leading now with my forehead as I'm walking, and maybe this kind of makes me feel a little bit more, focused, or maybe a little cautious. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. So the way I'm moving my body, it's going to impact how I'm actually going to talk and how I feel on the inside. So that's how we can use outside in to create very vibrant characters that actually have a very interesting point of view. So as improvisers, we're naturally trained to be active listeners and pay attention to details that are presented to us on stage as well as off stage. So myself included, I like to actually watch movies. And, if I see a character I like, I think, oh, that's an interesting character, and I analyze, why do I like this character? Well, maybe I like the way they use their voice, or I like the way they use their body. And thus, I try those out sometimes in shows as a way to kind of stretch my character muscles. And a lot of voice actors especially, they do this as well when they create characters in television shows, cartoon shows, anything like that. They can sometimes bring inspiration from other real-life characters or fictional characters and bring their own unique interpretation on it. So for example, Stewie Griffin from Family Guy is an impersonation of Rex Harrison, and Mayor Quimby from The Simpsons is an impersonation of John F. Kennedy. So these are two examples of voice actors using inspiration from some other vibrant character that has a very distinct voice or a very distinct way of presenting themselves, and they use it to create their own unique character. And we as improvisers, we can do that as well. So for example, I really like Tom Waits, and I've sometimes used his voice to convey kind of a very kind of weird, grungy character on stage, and it's been really cool. So since we're viewing things, either in movies or on the streets, another thing you can do is just simply people watch as inspiration for new characters. That's a great little thing that you can do on your own outside of class. But as we start to view these different things, we need to try to enact them. Because in improv, we sometimes can get stuck in go-to characters. So a go-to character is essentially a character that you might do a lot because you're comfortable with it. So for example, if I maybe am comfortable with a fatherly character, kind of like the pipe-smoking father who has good advice, because the audience was very receptive to it the first time I did it, so I started doing it more and more, and it kind of started becoming almost a staple of my shows. That's a thing that can happen because we want to keep chasing that reaction that we initially got, because we're comfortable and we know we can get it. But by getting stuck in go-to characters, it can kind of stunt our creativity. And I always say, try to actually do a different character every single show. Try to strive for that. Doing characters that are new is kind of like skydiving. At first, you might be a little bit afraid of it because it's something new. You don't know how to work out. It might get no reaction from the audience. It's like being on the ground, so maybe you never do it. But then you're thinking, oh, maybe I will do it. So I actually get on the plane and I'm about to jump and I'm feeling even more fear right now because I'm about to take that leap and make the choice to try a new character. And then suddenly I take the jump. And it's still scary as you're doing this new character, but it's starting to feel exciting because people are reacting and it feels different. You're actually starting to not think so much about what you're going to say, and then you land on the ground after the show's done. You're like, that was a lot of fun. You don't even think about the fear anymore. So try it out. Try to do different characters every single time, whether they're impersonations on fictional characters or real characters, whether you just start with your body or think internally. It will ultimately make you a more defined improviser. And that concludes this segment of Mutt Tips. Thank you so much for checking it out. I really appreciate it. Once again, feel free to give this video a like or share it, subscribe on YouTube, leave a comment. As you can see, I am answering these questions that are being presented to me in the comment section, so I'd be happy to continue doing that. Other than that, my name is Sean Taylor, and
I have to go now. My planet needs me.